What is India's worst air tragedy in recent years? An Air India flight which was bound for London tragically crashed into a medical college hostel just 59 seconds after takeoff. Air India has confirmed that out of the 242 people on board, one sole survivor has emerged, a British national of Indian origin who is currently receiving medical attention. The 242 passengers on board included 169 Indians, 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian. Notably, former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani was also listed as a passenger. Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu has pledged a thorough and impartial investigation into an incident. And our colleague Madeeha, who is on the location right now, is joining us with the latest on this. Madeeha, what are the latest updates that you are picking up from the site?
Well, Hormuz, this was the Boeing 787 Dreamliner that was operating the flight AI 171 from Ahmedabad to London, as you were mentioning. The flight crashed within seconds after it took off from the runway. There were 242 passengers on board, including the 2 pilots and 10 crew members. Only 1 passenger has miraculously survived. There were also foreign nationals on board, as you were mentioning. The flight was carrying 125,000 liters of fuel for a long journey to London, and that led to the huge explosion, and that also led to the victims, the bodies of the victims, charred to death. The investigation is underway, but what we know so far is that the pilot had announced Mayday just once, after which there was no communication with the ATC, and the plane immediately crashed after it had taken off from 670 feet. This is the first time in history that Boeing 787 plane has been involved in a fatal accident. The earlier tragedies involved Boeing 777, 737 NG, 737 MAX, and the 747. But this is the first time that a 787 Dreamliner plane has been involved in a fatal accident. This is not the only. This is the only biggest air accident of 2025, but also a major one since 2023. So in 2023, Yeti Airlines had crashed in Nepal that had killed 72 passengers. Then in December 2024, there were 2 fatal accidents. Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crash landed in Kazakhstan where 32 people died. Then the Jeju Air crash landing at Muan Airport in South Korea where 179 people had died. Now, there are other casualties as well. Apart from the passengers in Ahmedabad, the plane crashed directly into a hostel complex of a medical hostel complex, severely damaging the super specialty resident quarters and the boys' hostel mess and the nearby buildings. We are yet to get clarity on what is the casualty number from that area, and we will keep updating you on what the total death toll is from this tragedy.
Well, Madeeha, could you also help us with the possible reasons for the crash of the airplane then?
While the investigation is still on and the voice recorders from the cockpit will tell us the truth, but what we know so far is there could be 3 likely reasons. The first one could be performance miscalculation. For every takeoff, the pilots calculate the required speed and power setting based on aircraft weight, weather, and the runway conditions. In the case of AI 171, the data from Flight Radar 24 shows that the aircraft used nearly the entire runway, which is very unusual. Typically, takeoff occurs around 2/3 of the runway. So this suggests that a possible lack of sufficient thrust, which is power or speed, and if the aircraft was too heavy or if the engines did not provide the required power, it may not have reached the takeoff decision speed, and hence we could see it descending immediately after takeoff. The second reason could be incorrect flap settings. It is also being widely talked about. Flaps are very critical during takeoff. They are designed to increase the lift at lower speeds, allowing the aircraft to become airborne sooner. So correct settings will mean more lift. Too much or too little will mean excess drag or reduced lift. So in case of AI 171, it is possible that the flaps were either deployed properly or set at an incorrect angle. For instance, if they were set too far, which is more like a landing configuration, they would increase the drag instead of a lift, slowing the aircraft during the takeoff. That could be one reason. The third reason, which is very less likely but cannot be ruled out, is bird strike. Ahmedabad airport is known to have a high bird presence, especially
Yep.
near the runway. If multiple birds were ingested in the engines during the takeoff roll
Right.
or rotation, it could lead to power loss and complete engine failure. So these are the three scenarios that would have led to the crash, but we will still wait for the analysis of the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder.
Right. Madeeha, thank you so much for all these detailed analysis of what transpired and what could have been the likely reasons. Of course, these are hypotheses, and we would await the outcome of the investigation for the actual reason behind this tragic accident. Now,